You're listening to the Every Student, Every Day podcast with me, Jim Franchini, Superintendent of the Averill Park Central School District. Welcome to this episode of the Every Student, Every Day podcast. As we often like to do here, we like to feature our students who have done some great things. In this case, we have 4 fantastic student athletes and one of our wonderful coaches who are joining us today. These 4 young ladies have competed in the New York State Indoor Championships, as well as the Nike Indoor Nationals and the New Balance Indoor Nationals. Quite impressive, and we're really excited to have them join us today to talk about their experience, and of course, Coach Gobel as well. So thank you to the 5 of you for joining us, and if we could just start by having you introduce yourselves. Coach, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm Coach Gobel, the head indoor boys and girls track coach, and I coach horizontals and the distance runners.
Excellent. Thank you, Coach. Mae, why don't we go to you?
Hi, I'm Mae Miller, and I'm a junior.
Great. Thank you, Mae. Welcome. Marley?
Hi, I'm Marley. I'm also a junior.
Welcome, welcome. Emelia?
Hi, I'm Emelia. I'm also a junior.
All right. And last but not least, Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I'm a freshman.
Great. So thank you again for joining us here to talk about your experience. Coach, we're going to start with you. You've obviously been here for a long time, multiple sports, and a ton of success in all 3 seasons. When did you kind of realize that this team, this group of athletes had something special? What makes these 4 young ladies different, that type of thing?
I think you're looking at these 4 really as the leaders of the girls track program, both in the effort that they give and in their physical talent for it. They've all been to state meets in the past. Marley's been to indoor and outdoor states. Elizabeth has been in cross country twice. Mae has been in cross country and in outdoor track, and Emelia's been in outdoor track to the state meet as well. So we knew we had a really strong core coming back this year.
That's great. That's pretty impressive. And again, still at the oldest juniors. So more to come, I'm sure. Emelia and Elizabeth, let's maybe start by telling folks the event that you were in the indoor championships for, and then kind of talk about how you work as teammates to stay in sync during your handoffs, during your pacing. Just maybe talk us through the experience.
We ran in the intersectional, section 2 relay, and we were with, it was us 2, and then a girl from Holy Names and Saratoga. And I mean, we've been practicing handoffs since the beginning of the season. So it's kind of just been something that's we easily do.
It was hard at first because obviously she's running a longer distance and I'm just doing a short sprint. So it did take a while to practice all those handoffs and make sure the timing was good. But once we got it down, it all worked out.
I would imagine it's a lot of repetition, right? And just kind of going it over and over and over again until you get it down to you're both comfortable. Is that kind of?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you. Mae, how about you? Again, maybe tell folks your event and then your strategy for how you managed your pace and your experience in the race in general.
So I competed in the 1,000 meters at the states meet, and I would say my strategy is just working with the pack of runners in my heat, because it really helps you to work off other people and with the group. And also I like to hear splits from my coaches throughout it to help me pace myself. And then definitely a good kick at the end, because you always have to bring it in at the end.
Excellent. I think people kind of view that as a individual sport, but you really are kind of working off of the other people who are in the race with you, correct?
Yeah.
Moving over to Marley, again, with the other folks, if you could maybe tell our listeners your event and then maybe a technical aspect of that event that you really worked hard to improve. Is there an area that with your event that's kind of a little more technical and you've had to focus on or work on?
Yeah, so I do pole vault, and a technical aspect that at least this season I've been really working on is my run. Because the farther you go back on the runway, the more consistent you have to be, because you have to have the same distance, amount of steps, and like kind of pace. So like this season, I've really been working on that. And then like from an overall perspective of what I've been, like me and Coach Ab have been working on, is like getting myself fully vertical upside down, because that's one of the main components of how you get higher bars.
Excellent. That's a great answer. Thank you. Coach, heading back over to you, can you talk about the future of the program? I mean, you're involved 12 months around here. So where do you see our indoor team? And if you want to talk about some of the outdoor stuff as well, that's fine too. Like, how is the program doing? Where are we headed?
We've been the program here has been strong for years. If you look at the list of state champions we have out there, the vast majority of them come from track and field. So it's been a strong program back to the late 80s and throughout the 90s. We're lucky in that we've had some kids who come in and expect to work and expect to have success. The nice thing for us this year is kind of getting over the hump and being able to actually win that sectional championship. I think all four of them would tell you that, we like the do the best that you can part and seeing our times get better, but they're all very team oriented kids. So to see what they're willing to sacrifice for their team in that sectional meet is pretty impressive. And as you mentioned, there's three of them are juniors, and we're excited by what they're going to be able to do, as well as combined with the other boys and girls in the outdoor season. And then, Coach Clunk's done a heck of a job with the cross country program last year. And that we all kind of blend together all three seasons.
That's great. There's really a lot of synergy, I think, among the three sports and the three seasons. And you're right. There's been a ton of success here. That's great. So thank you for your role in making that happen as well. For our students, I'll throw this out to all four of you and kind of let you answer how you see fit these next few questions. Let's start off with maybe a little more of a fun one. Do you have a hype song or routine or ritual or something that you do before competing? Anyone want to share something that they do to kind of get themselves going?
Yeah, I'll start. So before a meet, I usually, like, if the bus ride is longer, I'll talk to my friends and like calm down the nerves. And then once we get closer, I'll listen to some music to help me like focus and lock in. And like a superstition or like ritual that I have, I always have to put my hair in like two pigtails. I don't know what it is, but it's my lucky charm. So
nice. Anyone else?
For me, I always have to warm up at like the 1 hour mark before my race. And I think this goes the same for Elizabeth. And I also have a lucky pair of socks that I wear every race.
Oh, okay.
that's the same as me. I mean, we're always somehow warming up together because we're usually in the same events, but like I'm also scared to warm up on my own. So either when Mae is cooling down or I'm warming up, we're always together somehow warming up at the hour mark.
Yeah, for me, I don't really do the same thing every meet. I kind of just like go with the flow, but I get really nervous before I run. So I like to listen to music and always talk to Marley and everyone else. Like she said, the bus rides are really fun if we're going to an away meet because just talking to everyone, I feel like calms the nerves.
Excellent. All a little bit different, a little insight. As much success as the four of you have had, I'm assuming that sometimes you don't have your best race or best jump. How do you bounce back, or what do you do when things don't go as well as you had hoped or as well as you had planned? Is there a kind of a philosophy or a routine, or what's your thought process that you have when things don't go quite as well as you had wanted them to?
We have so many meets in like for each season, and it's like you don't do good on like one race you have at a meet. Usually we have multiple races in a meet, so like you can always go back, you have the next race and like leave it behind because it's just a race and you have so many more.
That's great. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, having done this for a while, it's obviously it sucks if you don't run like your best time and you get really down on yourself. But I mean, we have such great like teammates, such great coaches that are so supportive, and you really like bounce right back. Like what B said, like if you don't run as good as you want, you have the next, your next race. And it's just, everything's just a learning experience that you can do better in the next time. Yeah, for me,
After like a day of like vaulting that hasn't gone good, I always sit by myself for a couple minutes and like cool down and like think of the good things that I've done and think really of the progress that I've made over the years. And then at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal because like B said, we have like so many more meets and like days that are going to be better.
For me, like, it's sometimes hard not to get down on yourself about it because it's really like a confidence diminisher. But I kind of like to look at it as, like Emelia said, like a learning experience, and like you can kind of look at what went right, what went wrong, and talk to your coaches and talk to your teammates about it and like work on that for your next race.
Those are great answers, great perspective, and a great way of looking at things. There's a lot of maturity in those answers and some self-reflection. And I think a way of looking at things that helps you, obviously, not just in your running or your jumping, but in your schoolwork or everything else that you're going on. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Coach, back to you. You here in Averill Park coach multiple sports, obviously football in the fall, and then you move on to the track and field, the indoor stuff, and the outdoor. Is there a difference for you in terms of how you approach those seasons or how you coach those seasons? Or is coaching, and it's the same kind of you are who you are, this is what you do. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think there are certainly aspects, that you take from season to season. The expectation on putting the team first, even in an individual sport like track and field, carries over from football to track, especially when we get into sectionals. The expectation of a work ethic in practice and a work ethic in meets, and competing from a positive standpoint is something that carries over. I think it took them a little time to get used to the intensity that I bring, because I think that's the same coming from football into track. I might be the only distance football coach out there. I'm not so sure anybody else does that. So I think those things, the effort expectation, the team first expectation, are something that carries from sport to sport. The difference is we get into meets like nationals and states, we move away from the team component of that. And now we're really able to focus on the individual and to try to bring out what each of them can do individually that doesn't have an impact on the team. That's something that's different and can be a lot of fun, especially when you see the effort level that athletes like these four put out.
Thank you. Very good. Very good. Back to our student athletes. Can you talk to our listeners about something that people might not realize about track and field?
A lot of people think that track is very individual, but I feel like I could say this for all of us, that it's like this big community, like everyone supports each other. You always have a team. Like even if I'm, for example, pole vaulting, I still have a ton of people like cheering me on. And then if one of them are running, like we all cheer them on too. So it's a very like team aspect of sport that I feel like a lot of people don't realize that.
I think that's so true. I think you're right. It's a great answer. I think people think of it as such an individual sport. Anything else from the rest of you, or does that kind of sum it up?
I feel like Marley said it perfectly, and we can all agree on it.
Yeah.
Good. Coach, for you, has your coaching style changed or evolved as you go through your season and you move from those early workouts all the way through states? Do you have to change how you do things?
Absolutely. Typically what we're trying to do in track and field is to build to a certain level and to get physical peaks and mental peaks from these guys, usually around sectional time. So we're adding volume to the workouts, we're adding intensity to the workouts, and then we get to a point right before sectionals where we start to taper that off. So things will become a little bit easier. We look to go a little bit faster. So from a training standpoint, it evolves totally throughout the season. Then from one season to the next, it's also the focus on, as we get to state level competition and national level competition, more the individual athlete than, where do we have to put people in events in order to score the most points at sectional championships.
Great. Thank you. Back to our student athletes for the last question, and it's an old standby here on the podcast. We always like to ask our students what advice they would give to a younger version of themselves, or maybe even someone who's listening, or a parent who's listening who has a child in elementary school or middle school. What type of advice would you give to them? It could be track and field related, or it could just be athletic related, or it could just be about your experience in the high school. Is there any advice that you would share with people who will be coming after you, or you would have liked to have told yourself maybe a few years ago?
I'll start. I would say I would tell my younger self to just like really have fun with it and not get stressed out over little things, because like everyone said, like we have so many meets throughout the season, so many races, and it's just everyone wants to do their best on everything. Like you got to have fun with it and just make sure you're having a good time.
I would tell people you can't take everything like so serious that like you're not having fun. And I still have to remind myself now sometimes. But really, that's a big aspect of sports. Like, be proud of what you've done. Things are like hard and like you can do it. And as long as you keep working, things will eventually come your way.
And I also feel like confidence is a huge thing because it's something I've struggled with before. Well, I did a lot actually, but I feel like having confidence in yourself and like knowing your potential is really key to like moving forward and having like a successful event career at track.
And one more thing to add also, which I realized, like every year you have like goals for yourself in your head, like, oh, I want to hit this time, I want to run this. And then when the next year comes around, you're like, you have new goals that you want to reach. And then you realize like, oh, I already, like my last year self would be like so happy with the times that I got. And it's just like every year you obviously have new goals that are changing, but you just got to reflect on like, oh, if this was me last year, like I'd be really happy where I am.
Those are outstanding answers, really. Again, you guys are impressive with your intelligence and your maturity and your depth. I mean, those are great pieces, sort of to celebrate the victories and the successes and be confident. And great stuff. I really appreciate the four of you and Coach Gobel taking the time. I know you have a lot of things going on right now as we record this right before the April recess. So taking some time out with us in the middle of your day is very appreciated. Congratulations on a tremendous amount of success. We look forward to keeping tabs on you as you go forward, and enjoy your April break.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. See you next time on Every Student, Every Day.